Background. I, 37-year-old female, and husband, 37-year-old male, have been married for 10 years and have 3 children. Every summer, my family takes a vacation to the beach. I'm not a huge beach fan, but our kids love it. Plus, my mom pays for me and my siblings and our families, so it's almost a free trip, excluding travel there, which usually isn't a huge cost. Some years, only some of my family makes it, but a few years ago, my entire family, 50+ people, went as a last trip with my grandma. Husband hates the beach, but reluctantly went with us. His behavior was horrendous. He wouldn't leave the condo, bailed on previously booked activities that made the cost go up for others, and didn't help at all with our kids. It was basically like he wasn't there, and when he was complaining the whole time. I was so embarrassed. My whole family gave me the pitying stares the whole time and tried to help me as best they could. But it was just a miserable time. Our daughters begged him to play on the beach with them, and he just wouldn't engage at all. Since then, he hasn't accompanied us back. In fact, he will only go on vacations with us if it is a place of his choosing, which is usually hiking. Don't get me wrong, I like to hike, but I'd also like to do other things, and so would the kids. Now on to the part where I called him selfish. We are now planning our trip for this summer to the beach, and once again, he says he will not go. The kids are devastated again because they want him to go, so they can swim together and build sandcastles together. He says he just hates the beach, and there's no changing his mind. I got frustrated and called him selfish because he never wants to do anything that the kids enjoy. He said I was being a jerk, and there's nothing I can do that will make him like the beach. I told him it's not about liking the beach. It's about spending time with his family. He says we could skip it and go hiking instead if we want to spend time together. So I said we won't be going on any more of his vacations. Now I feel guilty since that was the one thing he would do with us. Am I the idiot? I'm not going to deny my kids the yearly beach vacation. They look forward to it all year long, but they are quite literally the only ones there without their dad present, and they've noticed. Edit 2. My whole extended family does not go every year. We don't spend the entire time together. There is plenty of downtime and time to be alone. I have suggested new places before and been vetoed. His family has also wanted to do a beach trip. They love the beach, but he refuses. Also, he has no trauma. He just hates the heat and sand and says it's boring. Edit 3. We do go on smaller hiking trips throughout the year. Every other year, we take a long hiking trip in addition to the beach trip. We can only do that every other year, as it isn't a free vacation. He has plenty of vacation time, so that's not an issue. He gets along with my side of the family. Also, in 10 years, he has only gone once. I didn't mind before kids, but I'd like him to go every once in a while with us. I do not expect every year. Last edit. Thanks for all the comments. I'm bowing out of the convo though, as some people apparently have no reading comprehension and are unable to understand that. 1. We go on his hiking vacations multiple times a year. Hiking is literally the only vacation he will choose, so there is no compromising on different locations. 2. He has no trauma with the beach, he just doesn't think it's fun. 3. I never badmouth him in front of our children. 4. I have no control over the location of this particular vacation. 5. He has only gone with us once in 10 years. I don't mind him skipping some, but every once in a while would be nice. Thank you all. Have a nice day. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the jerk. Is he 5? The point of the trip is to make memories, and it's going to happen whether he likes it or not. Unfortunately for him, he is ingraining in the memory of his kids as they grow up that he does not value them, and actually doesn't really consider family time important if it doesn't involve something he directly chose. Kids will remember who was there and built those memories. I agree he's being selfish, but I'd also take on a whiny child. I also don't enjoy the beach, but my family also has a similar trip, and I just man the items while everyone swims. He has to find the joy in it, one being that his family is there and that should matter. Comment 2. Not the jerk. I don't like Peppa Pig, but I put up with the whiny little twerp. I really don't like playing Barbies, but I sure as hell put on the stupid voices and played Barbie's Dream House. I don't like football, and I hate wet muddy fields at 9 AM on a Sunday morning, but I stood there in the pouring rain and cheered my kid on. You do things you don't like, because that's what being a parent is. Keep being a top mom, and let your kids grow up with no good memories of dad doing things they like with them, because he is indeed a selfish pillock. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, back with an update on the beach versus hiking vacation saga with my husband. It's been a hectic week, and I've got some news that I think will leave you all feeling pretty contented. So, after my last post, things got pretty heated between my husband and me. We had a huge argument about the whole situation. I reminded him of the time he promised to try new things when we were dating. He used to be more adventurous, even trying out salsa dancing with me, which he ended up loving. But he shot back, saying that I knew who he was when we married, and I shouldn't expect him to change. The next day, my sister called. She had read my post and wanted to talk. She reminded me of the time when we were kids, and our dad would join us for beach trips, even though he preferred the mountains. He did it because he loved us and wanted to make memories together. That conversation really hit home. I decided to approach my husband again, but this time I came with a plan. I suggested a compromise that might work for both of us. I brought up the idea of a beach trip with a twist. We'd find a coastal area with nearby hiking trails. That way, he could hike in the mornings while it was cooler, and then spend the afternoons with us on the beach. I even found a place that wasn't too hot and had less crowded beaches. To my surprise, he actually considered it. He remembered how much fun we had on our first vacation together, hiking in the mornings and exploring local towns in the afternoons. It was one of the best times we had, and he admitted he missed that. But then, my youngest daughter overheard us talking and said something that really shook him. She said, "Daddy, I just want you to build a sandcastle with me. That's all." It was like a punch to the gut for him. He looked at her, then at me, and I could see something shift in his eyes. The next day, he came to me with a surprise. He had booked the place I suggested. He said he wanted to try for our daughters. He even started looking up sandcastle building tips and tricks online, which was both adorable and hilarious. The trip was set, and we were all excited. But then, 2 days before we were supposed to leave, my mom called. She had to cancel the trip due to an emergency with my aunt. We were all bummed out, especially the kids. They had been looking forward to the beach, and now to seeing their dad build sandcastles. But my husband, out of nowhere, suggested we go on a mini vacation to a local lake with a small beach area. It wasn't the ocean, but it was something. He said he wanted to practice his sandcastle skills. We all laughed, but we were touched by his effort. We spent the weekend at the lake, and it was amazing. My husband actually got into the sandcastle building. He and the girls created an elaborate fortress complete with a moat, and I'll never forget the look on their faces. Pure joy. It was a small step, but it meant the world to us. Now we're back home, and things are looking up. My husband has even suggested that we start planning for next year's beach trip, with the same compromise of hiking and beach time. He's also been more involved with the kids, playing with them in the backyard and helping them with their homework. My wife's list banned video games, so I tossed it and played with my niece. She went nuclear, but our bonding time revealed a shocking truth. My wife, 24-year-old female, and I, 26-year-old male, got into an argument because she didn't think the way I spend time with my niece was acceptable. Context: I lived with my sister since my niece, 11-year-old female, was born. Last year, I moved out on my own and got married to my wife. Because of the rapid shift in life and work becoming busier than ever, I haven't had the time or energy to make time for that part of my family. Recently, I made time to invite my niece over. No plans, just for her to come over and hang out with my wife and me. After picking her up on the way home, she talked about wanting to build a snowman and do a bunch of other things we thought would be fun. After getting home, my wife says that while my niece and I go out to play in the snow, she'll finish some chores around the house. Before going out, my niece sees my VR headset and shows interest, so I offer to let her play with it before going outside. She says yes, so I start it up and she starts playing. 5 minutes pass, and my wife comes into the room and asks why we aren't outside yet. I tell her that my niece wanted to play VR first, so I let her. My wife gets upset, saying video games aren't quality time. I respond with, "We're spending time together, and my niece is having fun, so why does it matter?" My wife storms off. Soon after, my niece and I do go out and make a couple of snowmen and snow angels, etc. After playing in the snow for about 30 minutes, my niece asks to play VR again. I say yes, and she skips away to play VR in the living room. We switch back and forth, trying to beat each other's score in Beat Saber and stuff like that. Fast forward, I drop my niece back off at home, and when I come back home, my wife has a list made out for me. It's a list of things that our young guests aren't allowed to do while at our house. On the list is no playing video games, among other seemingly arbitrary prohibitions. I say, the list is not necessary because when I bring my family or friends over, I'm going to do what we enjoy. She says, "That's no way to spend time with kids, doing nothing but playing video games. I like doing crafts, playing board games, and other things with my siblings when they come over. Why can't you do the same?" I respond, "Because we weren't raised doing those things, so I didn't think to do those things. But if you offered to try some of that stuff when she was still here, I would have obliged. But I'm not going to accept a list of prohibitions because you don't like our version of fun." The argument escalated, and I maybe sort of said some mean things, like, "You're too narrow-minded and dull to accept that things other than what you like are fun. Am I the a-hole?" Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Tell your wife that her list isn't a heartwarming effort to create family bonds. It's a passive-aggressive example of her valuing her ideas and feelings over yours and your niece's. That you and your niece have your own definition of fun, and that you both are aware of the dangers of technology addiction and won't get to the point where you're literally fused to the couch. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Your wife needs to swerve back to her lane. Your relationship with your niece and how you spend your time together is your business. She's out of line, and it's time for her to get back in line. Just like you wouldn't have a say in how she spends time with the younglings in her family, she has no say in yours. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, back with an update on the situation with my wife and my niece. It's been a tense 3 days, and I've got to say, things took some unexpected turns. So, after the whole argument about the list and how I spend time with my niece, things were pretty tense at home. My wife was giving me the silent treatment, which was a new low for us. She's usually the type to want to talk things out right away, but I guess my words really hit a nerve. I decided to give her some space and stayed late at work the next day. When I got home, I found her in the living room, surrounded by her siblings, all of them deep into a heated game of Monopoly. It was a bit of a shock, seeing her so animated and competitive, considering how quiet our house had been since the argument. I watched them for a while, remembering how my wife had always been the planner in her family. She organized game nights, picnics, and even a family talent show once. It was her way of creating memories, just like I had my own with my niece. The next day, I tried to make amends. I suggested we invite my niece over again and do a mix of activities, including some of the board games my wife loved. She agreed, but with a condition. No VR until we'd done at least 2 other activities together. When my niece came over, we started with a craft project my wife had prepared. It was actually pretty fun, and my niece got into it, making a mess with glitter and glue. Then we played a board game, and I have to admit, it was nice to see my niece and wife laughing together as they teamed up against me. But then, as promised, it was VR time. My niece was thrilled, and even my wife put on the headset to give it a try. She was a natural, dodging and slicing through the game like a pro. I couldn't help but feel a bit proud, seeing her let loose and have fun in a way I hadn't seen before. Just when I thought we'd found the perfect balance, my sister called. She'd heard about the argument from my niece and was furious. She accused me of not respecting my wife's wishes and undermining her in our home. It was a side of my sister I rarely saw, and it hit me hard. She'd always been the mediator in our family, the one who smoothed things over when I butted heads with our parents. I realized then that I'd been so focused on proving my point that I hadn't considered my wife's feelings or why she felt so strongly about this. It wasn't just about the activities. It was about feeling valued and heard in our relationship. So I did something I should have done from the start. I sat down with my wife and truly listened. She explained that her childhood had been full of structured activities, and that's how she expressed love and care. She wasn't trying to control how I spent time with my niece. She just wanted to be part of it in a way that felt meaningful to her. Feeling like a complete jerk, I apologized for the things I'd said and for not including her more. We agreed to plan our family time together from now on, making sure there was something for everyone. As for the list, my wife tore it up in front of me. She admitted it was a knee-jerk reaction to feeling left out and promised to be more open to different ways of having fun. And here's the subtle justice part. My niece, who'd been quietly observing all of this, piped up with a suggestion. She wanted to make a new list. But this time, it would be a list of all the things we could do together. It included everything from VR to board games to baking cookies. Seeing my wife and niece working on that list together, laughing and compromising, was the best outcome I could have hoped for. It wasn't a dramatic showdown or a big gesture, just a quiet moment of understanding and unity. Sister claims my horse after I hustled for a year, so I changed the locks and she loses it. Her friends witness her downfall as she. I am a 20-year-old woman who started online side hustles a year ago, and I have made a pretty good income since then. My sister has always wanted to have a horse, and I also love horses. I bought one for myself about 6 months ago. I named her Raina, and I have to admit that I don't always go horse riding. I told my 22-year-old sister that she could ride Raina whenever she wanted, and she started taking lessons on her. My sister loved Raina. At one point, she tried changing her name, but I did not allow it. After a while, she started calling her my horse, and she would frequently invite friends to ride her. I would hear about it from the stable owner. I didn't think much of it until recently. My sister came to me and said she wanted to move Raina to another stable. I asked her why, and she said she wanted Raina to be in the same stable as her friend's horse. I didn't like the idea, but since she frequently rides Raina and the other stable is closer to home, I said sure. Then she said she had already arranged everything because she knew I would say yes. I got annoyed, but I just let it slide. So last week, I went to visit Raina and wanted to ride. Turns out my sister also wanted to go horse riding. I haven't been on Raina for 2 months or so, while my sister rides like 3/4 times a week. I told my sister that I only had time that day and said she could rent a horse for that one lesson at my cost. She then told me that I should just get off of her horse and rent one for myself if I want to ride that badly. We got into an argument, and she literally yelled at me for everything. She said that I am a bad sister, that I don't care about her, that I am a brat, and that I don't deserve anything. Now, our relationship has always been bad, and she has always had anger issues, but this reaction really pissed me off. I told her that Raina was not her horse in any sense. I pay for all of her expenses. I paid for the horse, and my name is on Raina's passport. I told her that from now on, she is not allowed to ride Raina, and she can either buy herself a horse or rent one, but she needs to stay away from mine. My sister kept yelling and said that I am stealing her horse and that Raina doesn't even know me. She said that I am the worst sister ever and told our parents. My parents think that I am right, but that I am overreacting because my sister has always had anger issues. They are saying that my sister really loves horse riding and she loves Raina. I told them she should have thought about that before disrespecting me. So, am I the idiot? Update. I see a lot of people who actually think I ride her once in 2 months. That is not true. I used to visit her 1 to 3 times a week, but those 2 months I have been very busy. The first month I was with her really often to create a bond, and Raina knows that I am her owner. When she saw me, she was really happy and did not go to my sister, but she came to me. So she definitely knows who her owner is. Besides, get my butt off. I have explained this in so many comments. I have been busy with work and didn't even have enough time to sleep. I love my horse, and I always try to visit her, but in the last 2 months, I did not have any time. My life has been full with work and study. I had to travel a lot for work as well to meet new clients or projects, etc. I have been doing schoolwork on airplanes. I have been working my butt off to keep up with this life, and I pay thousands of dollars for Raina to be taken care of. Raina is being exercised multiple times a week and is definitely taken care of in the best way possible. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. In reading all of your replies, I get the feeling you like the idea of owning a horse, but that's as far as it goes. You like stating the fact that she costs a lot of money, she only gets the best care, etc., but you have absolutely no time for her personally. Your sister may be a jerk, but so are you. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Keeping a horse is an expensive hobby, and you were gracious enough to allow your sister to ride. Obviously, when you want to ride, your sister should step aside because it is your horse. I'm sure she and the horse have bonded, but that does not make her any less your horse. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the support on my last post. It's been a tense month since then, and I've got quite the update for you all. So, after the blowout with my sister over Raina, things cooled off for a bit. I thought maybe she'd come to her senses, but boy was I wrong. She's been riding Raina at the new stable, and I've been getting calls from the stable owner about some concerning things. Apparently, my sister has been parading around as if she's the owner, making decisions about Raina's care without consulting me. She even tried to change Raina's feed, which I had specifically chosen with the vet for her dietary needs. I confronted her about it, and she just shrugged it off, saying she knows what's best for her horse. I reminded her that I'm the one footing the bills, and that she needs to respect my decisions. She rolled her eyes and walked away, leaving me fuming. But here's where it gets really crazy. I found out from a friend that my sister had been entering Raina in local horse shows under her name. I couldn't believe it. I went to the next show to see for myself, and there she was, in the ring, collecting ribbons and acting like she was the star of the show. I was so angry I could barely see straight. After the show, I pulled her aside, and we had it out right there in front of everyone. I told her she had no right to enter Raina in competitions without my permission. She fired back, accusing me of being jealous of her bond with Raina. She said that I was never around and that Raina was practically hers now. I was about to respond when Raina herself became restless, probably sensing the tension. My sister tried to calm her down, but Raina wasn't having it. She nuzzled me instead, and I took the opportunity to lead her away, leaving my sister in a huff. But the drama didn't stop there. My parents got involved again, trying to mediate. They suggested that I let my sister have some control over Raina's activities, since she's so involved with her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I reminded them that I bought Raina with my own money, and I'm the one who takes care of her needs. The argument with my parents ended with them saying I was being too harsh on my sister. They don't understand that it's not just about the horse, it's about respect and boundaries. Now, let's talk about Raina's expenses. I've been keeping a close eye on the bills, and I noticed some charges for extra lessons and equipment that I didn't authorize. When I asked the stable owner, he said my sister told him I had approved it all. I was livid. I had to sit down with the stable owner and go through every charge, confirming what was actually mine. I've since changed the locks on Raina's tack locker and given strict instructions that only I can authorize changes to her routine or equipment. My sister found out and went ballistic. She accused me of locking her out of Raina's life and said I was being petty. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I got a call from the stable owner last week. He told me my sister tried to take Raina out for a ride without permission. She had somehow gotten a hold of the new lock combination and was caught red-handed. I had to rush over and deal with the situation. I told my sister that she had crossed a line and that she was banned from riding Raina until she could show some respect. She screamed at me, saying I couldn't do that to her, that Raina needed her. It was a scene, to say the least. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.